The government is attacking rights that we've all taken for granted for more than 70 years, and no one's talking about it. While we were busy criticising Boris Johnson's Christmas parties, this government was passing their Anti-Refugee Bill through the House of Commons. Before this devastating bill reaches the House of Lords, here's everything that you need to know about it. Right now, there are 82 million people around the world who are being forced out of their homes. Whether it's war, persecution, or climate change, this is not an issue that's going to go away anytime soon. People crossing borders to seek protection has always been a fact of life. Protestants fled from France to the UK because they weren't allowed to practice their religion in the 16th century. Thousands of Russian Jews fled to the UK because of persecution in Russia in the 19th century. We should be proud to offer people safety, but our politicians don't want us to be. As we see people travelling to this country in dinghies and so many dying, newspapers and politicians want us to think that we've accepted our fair share of refugees, but this is simply untrue. In fact, the UK receives about half as many asylum applications than the EU average. Last year, less than half as many people applied for asylum in the UK as they did in 2002. So why does this government want you to think otherwise? And why are we told that such a small number of people seeking safety is such a threat? Well, this is where Priti Patel comes in. Introduced to Parliament last summer, the UK's Nationality Borders Bill is the biggest proposed change to the way that the UK treats refugees for decades, and not in a good way. There's a lot in the bill, so I'm just going to list two elements and tell you why they do nothing to protect refugees who desperately need our help. First, under the government's proposed new rules, how someone gets to the UK will determine how worthy they are of protection. So in short, if you got here through your own means, like in a dinghy or back of a lorry, you'd be punished. So no matter how genuine your reasons are for seeking safety in the UK, you could end up with temporary protection status, no access to financial support, and limited rights to reunite with your family. Instead of being able to heal and rebuild your life, you'd live in constant fear of being returned to face persecution or death at any time. The implication here is that if only you took the right time to make a legitimate claim, if only you did the right thing, then you could come to safety. But there is one major and rather obvious flaw to the plan. For the vast majority of people forced to flee their homes around the world, there is simply no way to do this. There is no form to fill in, no visa to apply for, and no embassy to claim asylum in. Just think about the chaos we saw in Afghanistan earlier this year as people tried to escape the Taliban. For the vast majority of people, there was just simply no way to get to safety. In fact, the government has actually closed down several schemes in the last few years that would have allowed some refugees in dire need of safety to resettle here in the UK. The government keeps saying that it wants to make things fairer, but let's be real. A fair system would be one that gives protection based on someone's needs and not how they got to the UK. So, the second element of the government's plan. In the face of strong opposition, Priti Patel wants to export people to offshore prison camps while they wait for a decision on their asylum claim. It's a model based on Australia's catastrophic approach of so-called offshore processing. Rather than actually saving lives, offshore processing in Australia actually ruined them. Dire conditions led to suicide, crushed mental health, separated families, and traumatised children. And perhaps the cruelest irony was that at least 3/4 of asylum seekers detained in Australia's offshore processing centres were eventually deemed to be genuine refugees and let out again. Australia spent billions holding people in prison camps just to release them again, when, surprise, surprise, they were risking their lives making terrifying sea crossings for good reason. But now, our government is determined to take the same inhumane approach. So, to recap, this bill will tear up protection for refugees, punishing people for trying to seek safety. And it will stop many of the people who do get here from being able to rebuild their lives. This is the behaviour of a government that wants to look tough. Like so many of the challenges we face in society, this government seems to think that using harsh punishments will deal with the problem. But what kind of people think it's right to be tough on families who fled their homes? Or lone children trying to reach their loved ones? This government is carrying on, playing their same old tired song to a small xenophobic anti-refugee crowd, using a small number of people trying to seek safety to score cheap political points. But another way is possible. Polls show that the majority of people in the UK actually want to help refugees. We know the majority of us are caring and compassionate and want to treat others the way that we'd like to be treated ourselves. This government wants us to think we're under threat. They want to polarise us. Whether it's their mishandling of the pandemic, giving deals to their mates, or empty supermarket shelves, They want to use people seeking safety to distract us from their own numerous catastrophic failings. We can't let them. Share this video now so we can get this message out.